Hello and welcome to the Daily Atheist. It is Monday, March 9th, 2020. How are y'all doing today? Did you survive the weekend? I survived the weekend. Somehow, barely. But, I did. It was a lot of fun. I got a lot of streaming done, did Sci-Fi Saturday, did some Dungeons and Dragons thing, helped out Wes over at another channel. And I did a lot of streaming. There's a lot of streaming. Anyway, so I've got guest host Damien Marie AtHope. Damien. Put the dog down, Damien.
Hey.
I don't know where that comes from. The Omen or something?
Oh, Damien?
No, the put the dog down, Damien. It's a Robin Williams thing, really. Good morning, Damien. How you doing?
Good morning. Yeah, I chose my name. Everyone always thinks it was because of the Omen, but it actually was Father Damien, who was a priest in Hawaii that took care of basically the people that were lepers on a leper colony.
Leper colony.
Yep.
It sounds like you're saying leprechaun. That's what I thought. My brain was expecting to hear leprechaun. Good morning, everybody. We got Godless Granny and Paul Camish are in the chat. Dave is here. Good morning, Dave. Dave is awesome. Earthly Covenant. Good morning, Earthly Covenant. That's one I don't know that I've seen you before. Good morning. That's first. Yeah, Native Atheist, Guild of Reason. Wes is here. Wes is Guild of Reason. He's the one I helped out yesterday on the show. He had Dr. Robert Price on his show yesterday. Very interesting person. To be honest, I believe he's a mythicist, right? But he was a lot of fun. He and I talked about Genesis, and we were, guys, it's fun to meet somebody and talk to somebody who has knowledge in the same things like this, that interest us.
Right. So what are some key points that you liked?
I'm sorry, about me? About what? Yeah. Him?
Well, no, about that he brought up about Genesis or whatever.
Well, I'm actually going through Genesis with the Evil God Monster of Abraham series right now. So I'm very familiar with the stories and what's going on in there. And to hear somebody else talk about it, and they also know that this happened in there, because a lot of people don't know that this happened and this happened and this happened. And to talk to somebody else who knows that, it was a lot of fun. He knows some stuff. We got to talking about Lot and Lot's daughters. I mean, you can't, it's just like that old chestnut. You got to talk about it. I really enjoyed being on the show with him over at Wes's channel, one of their channels. He's got a partner, and the partner showed up late, but he was there and did the thing. So it all turned out okay. So it's a lot of fun. And I'm going to have him on the show, right? I'll be hitting him up to come on the show, and he's probably a Sci-Fi Saturday. He said so.
Sounds good.
That's easier for folk because it's a little bit later. Let me see if all right. So we have, or will have, possibly may have, a guest this morning. Michael Steward from American Atheist. I'm finding my camera here. He's the assistant state director from Kentucky. It could be that there was the time change thing over the weekend, because with me, I didn't set my clock by my bed this morning. I just happened to get up. I got up thinking I was early, and then I looked at my clock right in here, and I was like, oh man, I got like half an hour to get ready. So that may have happened to him. He may show up anytime. So otherwise, I got Mr. Damien Marie AtHope here, and he and I, we're doing the History Voyagers. So we got stuff to talk about. It was the weekend. Oh, I see. Let me pop this out here. I have not been watching my chat. Earthly Covenant. This is Bernard. I'm going to say this, brother. Don't be mad at me, though, okay? I'm going to say it. Don't be mad. Not you. I was talking to him. But you hear. All right, peep this, my homies. All right, Bernard Lamborel. That sounds cool. Bernard Lamorel. I may have got it. Man, I'm sorry if I tore you up for your name. He is the author of The Covenant, and he will be here Thursday with me on the Daily Atheist Morning Show. I'm looking forward to having that with Stephen Tiger.
Right on.
Have you seen the videos with him yet on our show?
No.
Well, lucky for you, Stephen Tiger is actually going to be here Friday. All right, so he's been on the show a couple times, wants to talk about himself and his book. And then he's also been on as a sci-fi guest host on Saturday. And he approached me this past week and said he had a couple of author friends, Bernard and another gentleman who goes by Max Humana, and they would both like to be on the show, and he'd like to co-host. So he's going to be on the show, or they are going to be on the show. Bernard and Tiger are going to be on the show Thursday, and then Max and Max and Steve and Tiger are going to be on the show with us Friday. So you'll get to meet
Cool.
Steve and Tiger Friday. So
Look forward to it.
Yeah, me too. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be, that's what I was starting to tell you before the show. We're going to have, I got to say it again, Dr. Richard Carrier next weekend. But we're also going to have the two authors and Stephen Tiger. He's an author, so that's 3 authors. You know, actually, I'm an author. You've written a book, right?
Yeah. Well, I wrote a book of poetry first, actually.
Right. Yeah. See, so we're going to have a whole bunch of authors this week on the show. We're going to have the assistant state director for Kentucky. And I'm going to pick on him too. I got to pick on him for, I want to blame him. It's all his fault.
The time change?
Yeah, the time change, something. I'm not sure. Well, also with some of the American Atheists, I was going to do a second hour. It just depends on who and when and whatnot, how many people I can get on the show, because I didn't want to have just American Atheist folk running here, and it was just be all serious all the time. So I thought I'd schedule a later hour for the American Atheist people to come through. So some of them I've talked to, I did say 7 o'clock. He and I said, 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock Eastern. So it's just, it gets screwy. I'm a bad man. Anyway, I'll get all that figured out, and we'll get them coming on the show. One of the things is my wife and I sat down last night. Again, to all those who are here, native atheist, Mama Atheist showed up. All right, brother. Lordship Mayhem. Lordship Mayhem. That's a new one for me. Hi, Lordship or Mayhem. Just depends. I don't want to presume your gender. So it's either Lordship or Mayhem. Hey, did you see what I did? I did it all by myself. And of course, Godless Granny. So tomorrow we're going to have Andy Hall. He's the writer for Pathos. Did you see his show last week? He's going to come on, and he's going to be our guest host on Tuesdays, and he's going to interview Godless Granny with me and her grandmother. All right, here we go.
Right on.
Ta-da! Good morning.
All right. Good morning. Sorry, I'm a little bit late, but
no, it makes for a good watch because I tease you before you're not even here. You're defenseless, and I'm like picking and giving you a hard time, and it's really entertaining for the people. So,
all right, great.
How you doing this morning?
I'm good. A little bit tired, but good otherwise.
Time change, huh?
Yeah.
Who thought that was a good idea?
Not Arizona, apparently.
Yeah. Oh, are you in Arizona?
No. It's just I think Arizona doesn't do it right.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Well, yeah. I think so. I think you're right. Which the reason why I thought something about you might be in Arizona is because of I don't know why they're having a convention, but that's a month away. So.
Oh yeah.
That's a little premature. So good morning, Michael. I've got Damien Marie AtHope. Are you familiar with Damien?
I am not.
You're not? Well, Damien is an axiological atheist. Damien, if you'd like to introduce yourself to Michael and the people.
How you doing? I'm Damien, and I'm an axiological atheist, which is a value theory or a value science atheist. Basically, for most people to understand, it's a type of philosophy of how you approach assessing things, the truth, the worthiness, the goodness of things. Anyways, it's kind of like if you were to think of it in normal type of terms, it's kind of like an anti-theistic, atheistic humanism. It's kind of what it's like. Because no matter what, it's anti-theistic. If a God is real or God is not real, to an axiological atheist, only thing changes is that there's then if the real was real, there would be a real being to then dislike. Otherwise, the concept alone is already worthy of dislike.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
So, Michael, so you got some craziness going on in Kentucky.
Yeah, it seems to really be the case just constantly. Ever since I've gotten involved with the kind of activist movement, it's just been a nonstop barrage of bizarre legislature and building arcs and just insane nonsense like that.
Right. And now they're trying to push through this denial of care bill.
Yeah, it's a big problem, and we're really worried about that. We're doing, everything we can to kind of fight back, but if it goes through...
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, if it goes through, I mean, we just got more work to do to try to correct things.
Yeah, I mean that's a really scary bill. Not for
Yeah, it
me,
is.
but I say not for me because if you were to come upon me on an accident, you're just going to see old white guy.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, I'm not against really anybody's religious, but there's a lot of people out there who, you know, one of the things that I keep pointing out is that as an emergency responder was to roll up on an accident and see two homosexual people. Could he say, I can't help you? That's uncool. That's on many levels. That's uncool.
Yeah, I mean that's something that we're worried about. You know, that could be a real thing that's going to happen if this bill goes through. And, you know, obviously we're worried about women's health issues, things like abortion,
Mm-hmm.
contraceptives. You know, if a woman needs birth control for medical reasons, you know, yeah, you're going to have doctors saying, no, my religious belief says I can't give you birth control. You know,
Right.
and that's a problem. And you know, it's not like if it's the patient saying, "Oh, I don't want to go undergo X procedure because of my religious beliefs," that's one thing. But to go to a doctor and have them say, "No, I can't do my job for you
Right.
because of my religious beliefs," that's another issue entirely.
Right. Absolutely. And it didn't stop there. My understanding is it's for doctors, nurses, Medicare provider, medical providers, insurance providers, just anybody. Pretty much
Yeah,
in the entire field can go, you know what, I don't want to help you because you're a Muslim, because you're helping you would be against my religion. And, you know, I don't really remember anywhere in the doctrine of Christ, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, either one of you, where he said, don't help people who need help. And I also don't
yeah.
remember him saying, don't help them if they're gay, black, Mexican. I
That might
don't
have
remember
been
any of those things. I just remember
that
him
might have
saying,
been Republican Jesus.
There is a verse that talks about Jesus helping the Canaanite woman's child, and it's a girl. And at first, Jesus does not want to actually help because he says, "I've come here to help, the children of Israel," and won't even help because it's a Canaanite child, which is obviously a form of racism and or some form of bigotry. And then
Yeah,
then she says, "Oh well, but I believe that if I just touch your garment, my child will be saved." And he goes, I'm not going to throw my stuff to dogs, and then she says, "Yeah, but even dogs eat from the crumbs that fall off the table." But and so then the moral of the story, as the Bible tries to tell it, is, oh, how wonderful this person had faith, and I think how horrible that Jesus wouldn't heal a child.
you know
yeah.
what?
Like
Where is this? Because I want to look this up later and have fun with that
I,
scripture. That sounds
what I don't remember that. I'd have to go look at what verse exactly, but it's when Jesus and the Canaanite woman, when he
God.
heals, he heals the child eventually, but only because she showed great faith, not because he cared, not because children deserve from other nationalities deserve to get care, but simply because she had extreme faith. Then okay, I guess I'll go ahead and do it. You
yeah,
know,
Well, that actually would, if I mean, depending on how you interpret that, which is obviously how you would interpret that, um, that actually would bolster their case.
which
You
is
know?
which is bad.
Yeah.
yeah. It's Christianity has an interesting way of twisting all kinds of horrible stories into something good.
Mhm.
And you look at things like, you know, right away the Tower of Babel comes to mind, where really what's going on in the story is that a group of people were uniting to achieve a common goal, and God was like, no, we can't have that, so we're going to separate the people and confuse their languages, and because united you can do anything,
Right. That's
and
wonderful that
somehow
you
that gets
mentioned that.
twisted into a good story.
I appreciate that you mentioned that. I'm doing a series called Evil God Monster of Abraham. It starts in Genesis and it goes through the books of the Bible. And I'm at chapter 8 now, and I'm getting real close to the Babylon story, and that's a great perspective on it. The Tower of Babel. That's a great perspective on, because the whole purpose is everywhere you look in that book, the creature that is worshipped is vile and murderous and
Absolutely,
mean, and
absolutely.
and so we were talking about. I was on the stream yesterday, and we were chapter 2 or 3 or 4. I don't remember which one exactly. Whenever Cain kills Abel,
Yeah,
the very first murder is committed by one brother against another brother for the attention and love of God. That's the very first and the two religions or three religions have been doing it ad nauseum since. That's their whole mission, it seems to be, to kill each other, despite, like you said, saying this is peaceful or a good story, but it's actually a bad story.
Yeah, it's bizarre how they can just get away with that nonsense. And the Tower of Babel is, there's just so much you could add on to show just how ridiculous this is, because in the book, in the story, like God's, they're concerned that they're going to build a tower to the heavens. But like, if you're a God, we've been outside our atmosphere. We know that there's nothing out there except space. Like, heaven's not beyond the atmosphere. So right. Why would God be worried about them building a tower, regardless of how high it is? It's not going to reach them. Like, that's just silly. That just shows the ignorance of people that didn't know what was, up in the sky.
Right. But when we point these things out, they're like, well, it's just a metaphor. It's a metaphor for this teaching lesson. And I'm like, but it's a bad metaphor. It's bad. These are bad.
What's the lesson? Exactly. What could possibly be a good lesson there? That don't unite with people?
Yeah, I don't know, really. I would have a hard time seeing the bad lesson in there. Or seeing the good lesson. I'm sorry.
Even if you want to say that's a metaphor, then anytime I get to a discussion with a Christian about biblical scripture and they start popping off, it's a metaphor, then the obvious question has to be, how do you know what's supposed to be taken literal and what's supposed to be a metaphor? Because is the Jesus story a metaphor? Is original sin a metaphor? Is the creation story a metaphor? What's real and what isn't? How do you know?
It probably depends on who you're talking to.
Yeah.
But I did find that verse. It's Matthew 15:21-28 for the Canaanite woman. But yeah, the Bible's interpreted by different people, even in the same church. I mean, even in the same family.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Kristen, I can do the names. It's just anytime I put up a banner, it puts them down. I can't do anything about it. I'm going to be switching to. This week, I'm going to be building my new stuff. Next week, after the Richard Carey, starting next week, I'll be on a whole different program. But until then, I just got to work with anything. She's talking about anytime I put up these banners like this, she can't see your names. People can't see your names, so it's just a little problem. In case you notice that, anyway. So they've got all these craziness. They bring these things from the Bible, these stories from the Bible, and oftentimes I'll talk about this. They go to hand you this Bible, and they're like, "Here's this merciful, loving, the word of the merciful, loving God. It's love. This is joy." And you just open it up, and no matter where you open it up to, it's murder, it's death, it's incest, it's oppression. The New Testament really isn't that much better. It just depends on. It's actually a lot.
It's worse. Fiction. It's a lot worse in a lot of ways because the New Testament introduces infinite punishment for finite crimes. It introduces substitutionary atonement. It introduces the idea of original sin, and paying for the crimes of your fathers, and it's just absurd. And the thing is, like, I try not to beat Christians up too much about this sort of thing because I used to be a very devout Christian myself, and so I understand how you come off with these views of these stories that are glowing and good, makes everything seem great. Like, this is the story of love, how Jesus went to the cross to bear your sins so that you might have eternal life in heaven. But really, once I started looking at this in a critical eye, it's like God is the ruler of the universe. He made everything the way he wanted it. Why is a blood sacrifice necessary? Why does someone have to die? Why is he incapable of just passing people off to heaven, or why does there have to be a hell? There are no good answers for these questions.
Well, there is an answer. The God that they offer is not ethical. That's the answer.
Fair enough. I mean, if they're toting a good, loving, moral God,
right?
There is no answer. But obviously, the character in that book is none of the above.
No, like I said, not even Jesus. The one that they say is supposedly does this. If that verse is to be taken correctly, then that is absolutely a form of bigotry and racism. I mean, period. The fact that he, goes beyond, it's like, if a doctor wouldn't heal a child and then you force them and they're like, okay, I'm a racist, but I'll go ahead and heal the child. We don't go, oh, wow, wonderful, loving,
And, you know, that's one of the things that kind of gets me too. Oftentimes, they really beat the hell out of these Canaanites. I need to say hi to a few more people in the chat, if you don't mind, who've shown up. Sandy the Sane is here. Easyism works. Good morning, Ease. And of course, Kristen, best name ever. She's out there working my Nightbot. I've got some of those commands, Kristen. I need to figure out how to export them or something, because he's got like hundreds of them over in Dave Worley's chat. What I need to do is pick the ones I like, but I'm kind of new to the Nightbot, which monitors my chat and helps do stuff. So Brother John is here. We've seen him. Nice to see you again this morning. And Mama Atheist. Good morning, everybody. John Anthony. Goodness, we got a big crowd this morning. So good morning, everybody. Michael, so how long have you been involved with the American Atheist? Can you tell us what got you involved? You said you were a Christian. You went from being a Christian to a non-believer, then to a like strong non-believer. How'd that happen?
Yeah. Well, the process of me, it was a long process, as you find these things usually are for those who were believers and then are no longer. I'd say it was about a 3-year period from the time I started like researching and questioning things to the point where I started identifying as an atheist. I think it kind of kicked off really with the Westboro Baptist Church. In a lot of ways. They had me, because before then I never really had seen like Christianity used in a way to kind of hurt people, you know what I'm saying? And so that made me like wonder, like, why are they doing this? You know, are the things that they're saying actually biblical? And I was a pretty liberal believer at this time. You know, I was fine with gay people. I was fine with most things that good people are fine with.
That's one good way to put it.
But about 3 years of research and studying and actually reading the book that I had been toting for most of my life, I found myself on the other end of the coin, being a non-believer. And then when the Ark, Ken Ham's Ark, opened up in Kentucky, that was my first kind of activist thing I was involved in. The first protest that we did there on its opening day.
Cool.
And that was the first time I had been involved with anyone from American Atheist or any kind of humanist or activist organization. And I just kept running into these people, going to conventions and different events, and eventually I got talking to some of the people that we need directors in these cities in Kentucky, and I'm like, well, I'm in Bowling Green, and that's the third largest city in Kentucky, so let's see what we can get done there. And I've been assistant state director for nearly 2 years now.
That's great.
Cool.
It's been a roller coaster of emotions and just pains in the ass. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Well, you guys, we've mentioned this before. We as atheists are often underfunded and undermanned compared to those which we are defending ourselves from. It's not a fight. We're not fighting people. We have to defend ourselves. We're not on the offensive trying to keep them. It seems like we're on the offensive whenever we go up against them trying to get their prayer out of our schools. It seems like, but really we're on the defensive. They've already attacked and won that battle, and now we have to just fight them back across that line of get your crap out of our schools. But it doesn't end there, does it? It doesn't end with being in the school. That's what I had a debate with somebody, and I'm like, why do you care if it's on the money, if it's on the this? Well, because it doesn't end there. It's like just like this bill we're talking about here, this denial of care. Denial of care. You're gonna
if you give them an inch, they'll try to take a mile. They'll just keep pushing and pushing and pushing.
Yeah,
and we have to push back constantly, or they'll just because they always want to tout religious freedom this, religious freedom that. You're stepping on my religious freedom. But the thing is, the second a Satanist steps up and puts a statue of Baphomet or does like a black mass on the Capitol steps or something, they are just in a tizzy. They've lost their freaking minds.
Right.
And it's just they don't actually care about religious liberty, religious freedom. What they care about is just making everything the way that they think it needs to be.
That's right. Yep. And fostering their religion on other people. They're really handy about that. Again, the Baphomet, that's a great example, but it doesn't have to go that far. It can be as simple as just bringing up Allah.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like,
They hate that because those are like brown people. That's a brown people god, and they
oh
hate
yeah, the
you know?
obvious. I used to tell people, and I mean, anytime a Christian would say, "Oh, we need to do this in school," or we need to, invoke this kind of religious ideology from the Christian book. I always say, like, okay, well, how would you feel if Muslims were doing this? How would you feel if they wanted to push Islam in the school, or have Muslim prayers before, city board meetings and stuff like that? How would you feel about that? You probably wouldn't like that too much.
Or a Hindu or a Sikh.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
most of I speak broadly when I say this, but most of them, or at least where I come from, don't know the difference between a Sikh and a Muslim.
Probably. Oh yeah, I feel that here.
Yeah. So, Kentucky, Brother John says Kentucky still funds the teaching of creationism in public schools. Is that correct? Are they still doing that? Or have y'all been able to beat that down?
It's kind of a case by case basis. When I was in school, it was never a thing. I'm not exactly sure how many schools are doing it. I think it is a problem in some places, but it's not an overarching thing.
It's like the tip of the spear, though. Whenever they get it's a harmless little thing, whether it be that or the "In God We Trust" on the side of the building. It's harmless, right? They're just harmless, but it's the tip of the spear, and they'll just keep shoving it in and going further. The more they allow. First, it's the putting the "In God We Trust" on the side of the building. Then it's stopping our kids for a minute in schools for a moment of silence so they can pray. Then it's actually having them say the Lord's Prayer in school. Then it's crap like this, where they're taking the denial of care bills so people can deny people care based on their religious freedom. Religious freedom gives you the freedom to harm people indirectly. Where I just don't really, okay, as people who study the Bible, it's clear to me how people who follow this book would hurt people. I call it
definitely
death, written by the evil godmaster of Abraham. I call it that. So to me, it's obvious. But the way they put it out, like they're so sweet and innocent.
Well, to me, if you're going to allow a law that says that that people can choose their religion, then that should be on your form that you fill out for your, getting a job. And so as soon as you get a job, you're basically saying, I can't do this job. Because if it's a care provider, I can't or will choose not to provide care. And so because of that, to me, you've said that I can't do, I'm not qualified for the job. It's almost like when you're on a plane and they ask you, if you're in the one seat, are you willing to open the door? And if you're not, you need to move.
That's right.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, so you have that. So now I like that idea. That's a great idea. Where, all right, so before you take this job as an EMT, emergency technician, you got to fill this out. But then if you check this box that says that you're unwilling to help other people, you're eliminated for this job, and it's discrimination. And now we have a lawsuit, and the religious nutbags is taking millions of dollars from our city because our city wouldn't hire them as an EMT. That's exactly what would happen. We're one way we suffer or another way we suffer because of these people. Am I wrong? I'm not wrong. I don't see that I'm wrong.
Well, no, that's like saying I'm going to go to war, right, as a soldier, but I'm a conscientious objector because of religion. Well, then they don't go to war. They have them do something else, or they don't have them join.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that works pretty well in the military. How does that work in our corporate society where if, you can't discriminate against a person because of their religious beliefs? You cannot eliminate a person from a job, my understanding, because now, of course, I think this is obvious in this case. If you can't perform especially emergency medical procedures on somebody, then you shouldn't be in that role. Now, I can see a doctor's office where there's other doctors in there and, listen, I don't want to trim your toenails because it's against my religion. Go to that doctor in that other room. That's one thing. But this here on the side of the road when somebody's bleeding to death to go, oh, you're a Muslim? I can't help you. That's.
I think it's business ethics. In counseling, when I was in school to be a psychologist, they told us if you have these kind of values, then you need to leave now. Mm-hmm. One guy was a pastor, and he said, well, I'm going to be a pastor. I'm going to do Christian counseling. And they said, that's not counseling. because Christian counseling, which can be bigoted, actually cannot get a certificate that is actual counseling from the state. So because the state demands that you are open to help anybody.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, if you hold some kind of belief that might prevent you from doing the job that you've applied for and you've been given, then that's on you. I mean, if someone who was I don't know, Muslim tried to get hired on at a butcher shop, and then got offended because he had to touch meat, that's on him. That's not on the butcher shop.
Right. Well, all right. So now, you've hired a young man, and he's been working for you for a year.
Sure.
And that young man suddenly converts to Islam, and now it's against his religious belief. Do you create another position in your tiny company that can't really afford? Already, you can't afford it. Do you create a position and move him out of that meat job, or he agreed to go ahead and do it? So now he needs to go find another job, and it just to me feels like it'd be a lawsuit waiting for you.
I mean, you can put this in any other perspective. I mean, in any point of view. Like, if I had a job that required me to interact with women, and then I decided that I was a Muslim and I didn't want to interact with women who were uncovered and on and on, or if I decided to be that particular sect of Judaism that's really down on being around women, that's still on me. Like I don't see how that's the company's fault at all.
See, I actually agree with you 100%. I agree with you. You and I are on the same page. We're hand in hand on this one. It's just that in our society, matter of fact, looking at you, Kentucky, where we've got these religious people who try to drive laws, I can just see it. I see that as being religious discrimination, being seen as. And how can we get around it? I'm all for it, though. I think that's probably the best idea so far as to how to do that. Sign the thing saying, listen, this is what this entails. And if your religious beliefs change concerning this, you need to understand that you're going to have to find another job because this is what we do. I
was going to say, but I think that they already acknowledge that it's not a good standing. That's why they're trying to make a law. If they can make a law and pass it, then they've actually established something that was not currently there. So there isn't currently this, I have beliefs and I can then push them on people. Yeah. This is something that, once again, they're trying to add. Yeah. This is not. So they're trying to say, I have these extra rights as a religious person.
That's right. Well, in this particular case, maybe we should say, just like you're talking about, we should push it into law. That's what they do. When they push this crap into law, we should push things into law that say, hey, listen, if you're going to be against helping people, you need to give up that position. Right? Yeah. In a way, to them, it seems like we're trying to hurt them. They're literally trying to hurt us. And we're just trying to restrict their ability to hurt us.
It's a tricky tightrope, especially in today's political climate.
I'm going to pop up this article for those who may not know what we're talking about, who've shown up. We've got this Kentucky thing. Kentucky denial of care bill. Let's just go there. There we go. So for those who aren't familiar, Kentucky is trying. Do you know when this all goes down? Are you familiar with the time frame on this, Michael?
I'm not. I meant to look into it before I got on here, but I was a little late.
Yeah, and I forgot to look it up too. But it's just one of those things. This article was published to the 20th of February, so this is not old. This is news, and this is stuff they're trying to do. And again, it's just a beginning. What happens after this? First it's this, and then that just grows. It's just hard to imagine people who like to think of themselves as the champions of love and forgiveness. They're Messiah of love, and yet they want to do things like this.
Well, I think that the issue is there's not one kind of Christian.
This book is the word of God, and it's the final word. And it says that homosexuality is bad, and
you shouldn't knock it till they've tried it. That's all I'm saying.
But
it's there.
Goodness, it doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to a lot of people. Hopefully we can do something to fight against this, to get this not through.
Yeah.
But the good thing is, though, we do have Christians on our side, because not all Christians are supportive of this. Just like when I used to go to meetings for Americans United for Separation of Church and State, almost half the people there were religious. I was shocked. I thought it'd be like all atheists. I'm
Yeah.
like, wow. And then they had like pastors.
Can't hear Damien.
You can't hear me?
You can't hear him? Can you hear me, Michael?
I can hear you.
You can't hear me, though.
Really?
Weird.
That's the
Weird.
first time. I can hear Damien, so Damien's stuff is working.
That's strange.
You can hear me, so your stuff is working. It's weird. I don't know if the people can hear you. Apparently the people can hear you. They'd be complaining.
I don't know. You can't hear me, though, huh?
You still can't hear him, Michael?
No.
Has it been that way the whole time?
Has it been that way the whole time, or you just now?
No, it was just now, like when he just started talking.
Huh. Let me pull this out.
Strange.
Remove that from the stream. Maybe, I don't know if it's not. I mean, clearly I still hear you.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
my wife was saying I was talking too loud.
Brother John says he hears that. All right, so it's something on your end, Super Michael. So we'll have to just kind of work with it. It'll pop back in, I'm sure. Unless you want to leave the stream and come back into the stream and see if that'll help. Close the browser and click the link again. We'll wait for you.
I can try to see if that does anything.
Okay.
I'll be right back in.
Okay.
All right.
Well, while he's doing that, I'll just answer some of the things going on here in the chat. Theological introspection. I'm gonna, I meant to talk to you about the show, being on the show one of these days. The Bible says only 144,000 people are going to heaven. Yeah, that's a. Anyway, Ohio passed laws that a kid can't be failed in science for saying, yeah, I've seen that before. They've come out. These kind of laws where they're passing, somebody, a kid can say, I don't want to study that because it's against my beliefs. Testing.
You hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool.
Oh, it works.
That reboot it thing, just close it, start it back up, really goes a long way. So, we were talking about the things that they do in school and that they're pushing these things in the laws. We're not sure exactly when this happens. Do you know of any other nutbaggery they've got going on, Michael?
I don't think there's anything new that I've been made aware of other than that.
Are you going to be able to make it to the convention this year?
I will not be at the convention this year.
It's far away, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty far, and money is tight.
It is everywhere. True. Gotcha. Yeah.
But I went last year, and I will say, if you get the opportunity to go, you absolutely should, because it is a unique and enriching experience.
Well, it looks like we're going, actually. I'm doing a campaign to make it to where I can go money-wise, right? I'm tight, too, on the money.
Yeah.
But me and the wife, we sit down last night and we prayed about it. Which means the wife runs all the money and I just kind of I don't know. But we're gonna both go. She's gonna go with me to Phoenix. We're gonna go and she's gonna help me set up the booth. We're gonna that's one of the things we're gonna try to get pins to give away and do stuff and be a part of it. They're gonna give me a booth. Matter of fact, I need to get a hold of some of the American Atheist representatives to make sure I've got things in place. So when I get there, I don't go, they told me I'd have a booth. And they're like, there's no booth for you. And I'd be like, I need a booth. I don't want to go through that, right? No. My wife would tear me up for.
Well, I wish I could be there. I was really disappointed when I made the decision to not go, but there's always next year.
There's always yeah, that's true. I'm not sure where they're going to have it next year. I want to look into that. We've got
closer to Kentucky.
Oh yeah, Oklahoma. There's plenty of sheep up there. We'd be fine.
Nashville will be dope.
Yeah. And so here's the deal, though. If we can play this off, if it works right, I'm actually going to try to sell merch to help fund my trip because I live close enough to drive. It's six hours drive. So I'm going to go. If it all works out right, I'm going to have a booth. Everything will go well. Then we have a wedding in the end of April, right? So a couple weeks after that, we have that big wedding for my daughter. That's going to happen. And I'm going to try to make Faithless Forum too. I may actually be able to make the one in Arizona and make it down to Faithless Forum. I don't know if they'll have room for me or not or whatever. I may just be a guest and pop through and go on Atheist Ed show while I'm down in Austin and do the things in DFW while I'm there. But hopefully I'll get to do that and maybe even get to see Kristen in Austin. Best name ever. Me and the wife would hope that be able to make. So I just wanted to shout that out there because I'm really looking. Me and the wife were talking about it last night. I think it'd be really great for my channel and the show and all that to make both of those events.
True.
So that's
Would be really good.
Yeah, my evil plan of doom and despair. So we'll just have to see how it goes. And I've been shilling the American Atheist stuff here because I can. Atheist pastor is here. Chris, good morning, Chris. He's from Australia, so he's not really
cool.
He's like actually on an island off South America. It's not real. Well, he's the one who gives us the thumbs down. That's actually a thumbs up for him but he's upside down.
Because he's upside down. All right.
Yes. It's a running thing. Actually, it looks like I need to hit the thumbs up thing because people are just not. There we go. I got to control my crowd here, brother. So, thank you for joining us this morning on the morning show. Let me see if I've got anything. Where did my thing go, brother? I lost my stuff. Oh, aha! There we go. Yay! I need to get my banners together. I'm just changing my software. It's all my fault. How long again? Now you said 2 years you've been with American Atheist doing the thing.
Yeah.
How many conventions? Just one? You've been to the one?
I've been just to the one. Yeah.
Which one was that?
Cincinnati.
I went to the one in Oklahoma, and I've also been to the one at Memphis, the American Atheist.
Oh yeah.
You're not going to be able to make the one down in Arizona this year, Super Damien?
No, because I'm in a wheelchair and having problems even getting into that. It's too much.
Gotcha. I was kind of hoping you could get better in time for us, because I knew yes, yeah. But
I want to. I was planning on going, but then I all of a sudden couldn't walk. I just before that went to the Freedom from Religion Foundation one in Wisconsin, and I was walking the whole time. Which is probably also some of the problem. I walked too much, and then I just had moved, and I came back, and all of a sudden, I couldn't walk no more.
Oh, I see. Well, I'm rooting for you. Hopefully, we can get you to one of these events, right? So I don't know if you're not familiar with Damien. Damien, he does a lot of riots. He's got blog posts. He debates publicly, or he was debating publicly, going to events. He's kind of been around. I'm a little surprised you hadn't seen the red beard.
I think I've seen. I feel like I've seen his picture in places. Just not really familiar with his work.
I wrangled him into being on the show. I'm like,
yeah.
Hey.
I'd love to get into I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say I do activism. In fact, you mentioned Westboro Baptist Church. I actually went in Hollywood and counter-protested the Westboro Baptist Church on the street, and the chick that was there running it, she ended up calling the police on me and saying that I was, harassing her. And they're like, yeah, he's holding signs, just like you.
Yeah.
I was like,
that's a perfect, just symbolism for religious freedom. It's good for them until someone else does it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I got the same rights as you. Isn't that crazy? I have the same freedom.
Who'd have thought?
And wasn't it AOC who pointed out recently that she's tired of people using, the only time you hear about their religious freedom is whenever they're using it to bash somebody else or hurt somebody else?
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
So,
but I credit Westboro Baptist Church and Penn and Teller with my deconversion from atheism.
Really? Okay. I have a friend who his name is Neil. He's the 604 Atheist. Sometimes he listens in the morning. He works in a lab. He'll listen in the morning on to the show. He has a program about deconversion stories, and he would love to have someone like you on his show to tell your deconversion story. That's the whole bag. He'll do an hour show, and you talk about how you went from one to the other, and then they'll have an after party where people can pop in like this here, and they can talk at you and ask the question.
I'd love to do that. I'd definitely be into that.
Yeah, so I'll put your name and I'll give your email or your contact info to him so he can get with you.
Cool.
For me,
I guess I'll save that story for that then.
Oh no, I like to get the little synopsis, the little give me the quick notes version.
Okay, well essentially one night I was just tooling around on Reddit and I saw this clip from that show Penn and Teller did called Bullshit.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
And it was about anti-vaxxers and how, even if the vaccines cause autism and it's still worth it for all the horrible things the vaccines prevent.
With the bowling
And,
ball.
yeah. And I went through a few of their videos, and I was like, yeah, anti-vaxxing is bullshit. Yeah, psychics are bullshit. And then I saw the one on the Bible, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
But I watched it out of curiosity, I suppose. And it raised a lot of questions for me. Like the Council of Nicaea was the big one. I was like, wow, what is this? People just got together and voted what was in the Bible?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like the unalienable word of God.
Yeah. No, I know. And yet here they are.
And like that just sparked just so many questions, so much research. I went out and I obviously wanted to find good reasons for my beliefs, so I started looking at professional apologists, Bill Craig, Michael Kona, all the big guys. And every time I thought I had a knockout argument for Christianity, I'd come across some atheists that just destroyed it. And it was always so discouraging. And I was so distraught for a long time that I could not find a knockout argument for why God exists.
Yeah.
And then I was just hanging out with my dad one day, and he just asked me, I don't even remember what we were talking about, but he asked me, well, do you believe in God? And I just didn't say yes. And I was like, I guess not.
Wow. Had to stop and think about it, huh?
It was a pretty eye-opening experience, I guess. I mean, it was like a 3-4 year period of just researching questions and talking and trying to figure out what I actually, believed.
Right. How did your dad react?
My dad was kind of indifferent. My dad claims Christianity, but he's a Christian by name only. I hope he never sees this, because he probably wouldn't like me to say that. But he's not a very active Christian. He doesn't go to church. He just kind of sits and it's like, well, God's real and Christianity's true.
Right.
My mom, on the other hand, was not so happy.
Oh, really?
I'm fortunate enough that my family has not disowned me in any way. I still see my family all the time. I live down the road from my brother, who's still very religious, and we're always at each other's house. So I'm fortunate in that regard that my family has not taken action against me. But my mom has cried in front of me a few times, and it's
really,
and she does stuff, and sometimes I just don't know how to react, and it's hard at times, but I still count myself as one of the fortunate ones.
Yeah,
you actually came out to your family, hiding. Yeah.
No, it's I'm actually one of the people who is probably most vocal and open about my atheism. People at work know, all my friends know, and I just don't care who knows.
Yeah. Yeah.
Call that privilege, call it what you will. It's just how I am.
Yeah.
Why would it be privilege?
Because I'm in a position where I can just afford to be out to everyone.
Oh, I got you. Compared to how some people have it, I understand. Some people do have it pretty rough.
Yeah.
When I came out, I was married down in Texas, and to a woman who was a West Texas Christian, a loose Christian kind of thing, kind of like your dad, but believed, went to church on a very rare occasion, her family. And when I came out, I remember getting into an argument with her brothers in a restaurant. It was a liberal atheist political argument. And, I'm all passionate. I'm like, why would you people, because you're poor, why would you be voting? I'm all, going off, and we were talking about it. So that was kind of like the beginning of the end for that relationship. Yeah, anyway, so my coming out was a little, it was different. It was different.
Yeah. I mean, every now and again, someone from my family will send me a video about Christian preacher destroys atheist arguments, or every now and then I'll get something like that, and I'll just sigh, and I'll sit back, and I'll drink a beer, and I'll write 5 paragraphs of why this is absolute nonsense, and then I'll never get a response, and I'll just be satisfied.
Yeah. Sometimes it's gotten to where, I had one, when I first started the channel, people would I still engage the people in the chat, but I had this one person who was a religious person. He would write me these big long posts, and I read this post, and I was like, all right. So I lit him up, man. I wrote this big long, I was all happy, and it's long, and I was like, fire, take that, burn, you know. And then a few days later, he sent me, he posted again this big long post. All right, let's see how he responded to that. And he's talking about the same things he was talking about in his first post. And about part of the way down, he said, you know, I didn't read your post. I'll get to that. I'm just responding to the stuff. I'm like, well, why the hell do I even bother? So I stopped bothering. So guy, if you're out there and you're wondering why I stopped responding, it's not because you won.
Oh yeah.
I just determined you weren't worth my time. So yeah, that kind of happens. And
these days, I'm when I first started getting into debates and philosophical arguments and things like that, I was like, anyone on Facebook or social media who I thought was wrong, I would just go in.
Yeah.
I would just go in nonstop, no mercy. And then it started like really like kind of giving me some serious anxiety and some issues like that. So I was like, no, I'm just gonna take a break. And now like Facebook for me is just pictures of cats and stupid memes, and I'm happy that way. I'll have face-to-face conversations. I'll come on to a show and talk to someone like this, but I have no interest anymore of like just walls of text on Facebook that, you know, half the time they're not even going to read.
That's right.
I have tons of that, and I have a totally open profile to the world.
Yeah.
And I have 3 profiles and 5,000 people almost each one. Yeah. And I see it as a form of activism. I can get to people that in their minds and their ideas that aren't being gotten to. And I understand the frustration. I have my general approach though is I'm a caring firebrand atheist. So I don't see them as, you know, someone I'm fighting. I see them someone who's suffering from a mental illness. This addiction to faith and this addiction. So when they're angry, they're really not angry at me per se. They're angry at anyone that would challenge this idea they hold sacred. And so it doesn't, but yeah, I also agree with Chris. I don't go on to talk to, you know, thousands of pages of writing for every single person. Some people I will, just depends on my mood. And I generally turn them into a blog. I take all the comments and put them into a blog, but I do think everyone shouldn't have to do that because it's a lot. But I feel like because I can manage my feelings generally, and if they're too bad, I just block people. But I see a benefit because if we don't ever say anything, then someone like me, I didn't become an atheist till I was 35. I don't want that to happen. I want people to be, you know, reached.
Yeah,
of course.
And like, there's definitely nothing wrong with that. And I'll still talk to people if they're actually asking genuine questions.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just for social media for me. I'd rather not have that be my outlet.
We have different missions.
Yeah, it's healthy to have self-care. So I'm not saying that you have to do my style. I also do street activism. Some people don't do that. Some people say street activism is real activism, and then online is not. I don't agree. I do both. I don't.
It's all important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there could be some random stranger who just comes across one of your posts, and that's the first time they've ever heard something that wasn't, you know, pro-Christianity or pro-religion, and that might get them thinking a little bit.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. Damien's powerfully verbose. He's got it's not verbose. Verbose is a good one, but that's not the one. Prolific. He's very prolific. He's got a lot of, especially with his history of religion, he's got these blog posts, and it'd be nice to, you know, anytime. I can't imagine how many people have read your stuff and kind of been enlightened by what you've got going on there.
A lot. I have a lot. Well, in my philosophy too, I do archaeology of religion and history. I also do, and I go back even to Homo naledi and their, you know, priests sort of cemetery burial. And you know, I think it's like 250,000 years ago. I talk about that. I talk about everything in between, all the way till certainly till 5,000, with their world religions, you know, start to get their forming from. But I also deal with philosophy, and I deal with in a way of trying to help and educate people on how to use it and how to, you know, think different and be more of a critical thinker.
that's kind of my big thing. I'm a big philosophy guy. I love
Right
just
on.
trying to explain like basic argumentative structure to people, try to get them to understand basic fallacies, things like that. Yeah, it's a lot of dense work, like, but it's
Right.
good work, I think.
Yeah.
Well, and that's something that I do. I think particularly is I'm a big picture person. I take a lot of really big picture ideas and make them a lot easier.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Instead of like telling people, which I tell people all the time, instead of in a sense trying to teach critical thinking and all the logical fallacies, there's a belief standard that simpler people can get. That in a sense that you have a belief etiquette, like how you believe anything, not just God, but anything. That in a sense you should have reasoned belief acquisitions, good belief maintenance, and then honest belief relinquishment, meaning that you don't let anything come in that you don't think about, but it's going to happen. You're going to believe stuff and then later realize, whoa, maybe I'm wrong. And that's where you need maintenance of your beliefs. Like, okay, is this totally accurate, 80% accurate? Maybe I should just get rid of this. And then be honest when you realize you should get rid of stuff, just get rid of it.
That was a big thing for me when I was first like coming out as an atheist and trying to learn more and trying to figure out what I actually believed as far as like, you know, philosophically and politically and all this other stuff. I anyone who knows me good will tell you that I'm always questioning myself. I never think I'm right about anything. And I always tell people, like, I'll tell you what I think, but I'm not going to tell you it's right.
Well, I try to teach people how to know what truth is. In fact, my style is called truth navigation. So it's understanding how to look at things and assess them, because I think that's some of the problem is a lot of people don't know a good idea from a bad one. Just like I was in our show History Voyagers, I was saying to Chris that there's a common problem that pseudoscience, pseudo-history, pseudo-archaeology all kind of have. They generally start with an idea and they try to prove that idea, finding any like cherry picked facts. And then they go, oh, look, see, there's facts to support this.
Yeah,
Well, that's like saying, well, there's a Bible and it mentions a real town, so the Bible must be real. Like, no, that's not how that works. Because the Bible stories has to defend all its claims. And that is not going to be proven by science or by archaeology or history. So,
Gotcha. That's true. Guys, it looks like we got to the hour. I want to thank you both for showing up today. Damien, thank you for co-hosting with me this morning. I'll see you again on Friday on the show. We'll have you back on the show. And Michael, thank you for showing up.
Thank you for having me. It's definitely a fun time and good talk.
We'll do it again next time. You know, with the time change and all that crap, we'll get it all squared away. But you know, if you want to come back, if something's going on down there in Kentucky and you want to get on and talk about it and shout about it,
yeah, definitely.
This is the place. So
I'm sure something will happen eventually. It's Kentucky.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time. You are the guys with the ark that flooded. So there's that.
It was really funny because I went, like I said, I went to the first ark protest when it was brand new, spanking shiny and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went 2 years later, and just the amount of wear on the ark was just, it was kind of surprising because it just looks beat to hell.
Really?
Yeah,
really?
It looks rough.
You would think, huh? For the money they spend on it.
It's like, how do you guys not like, there's like water protection coating and stuff you can put on wood? Like,
and you know, in the Bible it says the ark was coated inside and out with pitch, which is black and tar-like. So even if they had done that, I thought they were trying to recreate the ark.
And the thing is, God, I could talk about Noah's Ark for like an entire day.
Oh yeah, it goes on.
There's so much wrong with that story. It's one of my favorites just because of how ridiculous it is.
Absolutely.
But if you were to actually, the building that they have there, it's arc shaped, but it's more of like a building that they just have stuff in. I don't know if that makes any sense, because like the front side that they see on the pictures and stuff, yeah, that's like art, but there's like a whole other part of it that's just like a building. And they have like a gift shop and other crap in there, and
Non-standard equipment upon the real ark, I'm sure.
And I went through there. I actually got a tour from Eric Hovind when I went through.
Oh,
When I
really?
went through, and it's because they have like dinosaurs and like fake dinosaurs in cages, and they have all kinds of like they have all this artwork and all these statues and things, and it's funny because like everything there'll be like these little plaques under like all the time that say like artistic liberties taken, you know. It's like none of this was actually in the Bible.
Yeah, right. Really, artistic liberties were taken. I didn't know that about that. Let me just say this real quick.
It's a pretty bonkers trip to go through there and just see. That was really one of the biggest things that sparks my drive for activism, because I was like, these people have got money.
Oh,
they are really, really pushing it. Yeah. So we've got, I really wanted to do something about that because I knew that these people were they're obviously pushing the wrong thing.
Oh yeah.
And I wanted to do something to fight against that, to promote good, standards of evidence and reason and science.
Yeah. And if we obviously that's one of the things, they've just got us so outmoneyed and outgunned, outpopulated. They got too many people. Their smallest organization is larger than our biggest atheist organization.
It's astonishing how much money that these Christian organizations have.
Oh yeah.
That's why we're really worried. Can't believe I haven't even mentioned this yet, but we're almost out of time. It's Project Blitz. Have you guys heard of Project Blitz?
Project Blitz, yeah. Well, I mean, we can run on. I don't mind running on if you want to talk about some more stuff. I don't mind. I was trying to be courteous to you guys.
I've got to go here in a little bit, but I can talk about Project Blitz just a little bit. If you've never heard of it, it's essentially a kind of unified effort that Christian dominionists are trying to push people into political positions that will promote Christian ideas and get those passed through governments and in small areas. Like they want the grassroots foundation, and so they can just build up from there to the major government.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's a real big problem. We put out a report. American Atheist puts out a report on the state of I can't remember the exact wording, but it's essentially the state of religious religious freedom or equality in this each state. You can see how your state measures up.
The state legislation tracker?
Yeah, it might be something like that.
Yeah, state legislation. I actually happen to have it open here. Yeah, Carol? Yeah, I'm sorry.
Check out each year's. You can check out whatever state you're in and see how well it's measuring up as far as like equality and religious freedoms and what bills are coming through that are problems for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the tools are out there if you want to get involved and try to help out. We still got plenty of states and cities all over the country that are in need of directors.
Right.
So if you think you're the only one in your area, you're probably not, and you can reach out to us, and we might be able to help us out.
That's good. Yes. Cool. And it's only $35, I think, to become a member of American Atheist.
I think we've redone how we're doing that now. I've heard talk of this, and I hope I'm not putting out wrong information, but I think the way that they're going to be doing it moving forward is that any donation that you give to American Atheist will qualify you for a membership.
I got you. That's cool way to go. Interesting, because I need to work on that part of it. I may become the state director for New Mexico, possibly. May not. They may. There's two. I may decide not to because it limits me in what I can say, and I'm a very political person. But then also they may have other, for whatever reason, may not want me to be. I don't know. I'm just saying, given the opportunity, I'll probably take it, and I'm looking forward to working with them for that very reason. They don't have, as far as I know, if a bill goes through here in New Mexico where it's going to be harmful, they don't have anybody here to protect us, to go up there and to stand up there and say, hey, this is wrong. And so I need to do that.
Like when you look at American Atheist, it seems like this kind of big kind of huge organization that has all this power and influence, but we're really not that big, and we're really not that rich. We're struggling to get by with what we got. We've got some really great people, and that's what I attribute our success to, is the work of the people more than anything.
Gotcha. Well, I can say we appreciate the work that you and American Atheists do, and there's also the Center for Free Thought Equality. They also do something similar where they track harmful bills, and they're a free organization to join. They send me emails and stuff. I may have to have Ron Miller back on the show, guys. Anyway, I'll let you go. Thank you for coming again, Michael.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. Thank you, Damien.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I really appreciate. I wanted. Do you have any? You were going to say something, Michael?
Oh, I'm good. I'm fine. Everything's good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for coming on. I just want to say real quick that I've been having health issues. This is not related to you, Michael. Sorry, brother. I've got some friends who I may need my friends to help me co-host tomorrow. I mean, I've got Andy Hall is going to co-host tomorrow, and he's going to have Godless Granny on here, but I may not be able to make it. So I may have to figure out a way to get it to where my people who are going to be on the show for possibly tomorrow or the next couple of days. It just depends on, and I'm not sure. I may be here tomorrow and be going saying the same thing. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. So I'm just kind of letting people know that I may need a co-host for tomorrow to help get things in, get Andy in, get Godless Granny in, and get my people in. So we'll see how it goes. I appreciate all my friends and all their help that they do. Thank you again, Michael, for showing up. Thank you, Damien. I appreciate you for coming in and helping out. You guys are awesome.
Right on.
Y'all take care.
All right.
Oh, and thank you, everybody in the chat. I appreciate you guys in the chat. Y'all have a wonderful day. Take care.